I want to introduce you to Eddie Laxson. This is a very interesting case. This is March 23rd, 1966, Temple, Oklahoma. This is a Project Blue Book case, Air Force case. This is not one of my cases, the official Air Force Project Blue Book case. Eddie Laxson is an electrical engineer. He's going down the road, and hopefully we'll get this back up on the screen here. And it's about 5:05 in the morning, and he's got his headlights on. The sun is still coming up over the horizon, so it's still a little bit orange out. And all of a sudden, his beams of the car hit this craft, and he sees this strange bowling pin that's tipped up at 90 degrees. It's sitting horizontally, and we'll go off to the right here. On the far extreme right of the craft was a bubble transparent canopy that looked like it was taken off a World War II B-26 bomber. Just after that, there were two beaming spotlights that were protruding forward. There were another two beaming spotlights that were vertically going down toward the road. The whole craft was supported on what looked like pogo landing gear about 3 feet off the deck itself. Now, after the pogo landing gear on the forward section, there was an air stair door. And standing right next to the air stair door was a man, not an ET, not an alien. There was a man. He was wearing two-piece military green fatigues. He had a baseball cap with his bill turned up, and he was shining a flashlight toward the bottom of this air stair door. Above the air stair opening was a stinger or spire that swept back toward the tailing edge of the craft that terminated into an 8-inch diameter sphere, which is important. Just after this section, there was a 3.5-foot diameter port. This is a starboard window that was divided into 4 equal pie segments. And after that window, written in black letters vertically, TL4768 written on the side of the craft. At the very end of the craft, there were 2 control surfaces that appeared to be way too small to be aerodynamically efficient. So he is shocked at seeing this entire scene. Runs out of the car, goes back to the trunk, just about ready to open up the trunk when this military fatigue man gentleman climbs up the air stair door. There's a high-pitched drilling noise. This craft levitates off the ground and takes off like a spark on a grinding wheel. This is back in 1966, long before Apollo 11. So here is his original sketch of what this craft looked like. You can see the air stair door. You can see his dimensions. You can see the TL476 written on the side of the craft. This is absolutely the clearest sketch from the gentleman himself that I could definitely find. This is definitely. Now, what's interesting here, if you look at the dimensions, he said it's 8 feet high and 75 feet in length. If that's true, then his drawing is out of scale. I mean, we've got to give him credit. There wasn't any room. He couldn't go to 75 feet. So I took a look at this sketch very carefully, and then I considered the 12-page United States Air Force Project Blue Book report. I put those two together, and I came up with this drawing. It gives you a real good, accurate representation of what this thing looks like. Now, I also would mention that this man wearing the two-piece military green fatigues, he had ranking insignias or bars on his shoulders, indicating another piece of evidence that this is a man-made technology. So what is this spire here that we're seeing on these craft? A lot of these UFOs have prongs and protrusions out of them. They have spheres at the back end. Now, what are these things? Is this just here? There has to be a reason for these prongs and protrusions. So what is the purpose of this? So I started digging into electrical components, high voltage electrical components. If you look at a Wimshurst generator, you can see on the right here, they have a discharge sphere, which helps to dissipate static electrical fields. Is that what Eddie Laxson was describing? Is that what he saw back in 1966? Here is his original map from Project Blue Book. This is the road where he saw it on here. You can see the intersection. I want to take you to the Google Maps. Here's the map where this thing actually took place. Now I want to take you within plus or minus 20 feet or where this entire sighting went down. And I believe this is plus or minus 20 feet. So if we were here back on March 23rd, 1966, at this exact time, at this exact location, we would have seen the exact same craft that Eddie Laxson had seen. Here is the official Project Blue Book index card, just to know you, this is an actual case here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but observer spotted object parked on highway In front of his car, observers stopped car and got out to investigate, but as he got close to the object, a man apparently entered the object, and immediately the object began to rise from the ground. This is from Air Force Project Blue Book. So then I started digging and pulled up these newspaper clippings. Temple man meets UFO on highway. Lawton Morning Press, March 24th, 1966. Another one, strange flying object sighted. Wichita Falls, Times, March 23rd, 1966. We'll look at some bullet points here. William Eddie Laxson was a pilot since 1941. He had 8,000 hours of flight time and taught a course in aircraft recognition, the kind of guy that you want on your team as a reliable witness. Number 2, object rose from the ground with the sound of a high-speed electric drill, hissing geese, or of a welding torch. That's something we hear many times, where there's high-pitched drilling noise before these things take off. Number 3, the craft caused the hair on his arms and head to stand up. Yep, we've heard of that too. Around these localized areas where these craft are seen, there's a static electrical field where the hair on your chest and the hair on your arms can stand up. Number 4, the man standing next to the craft was wearing GI fatigues and had chevrons on his uniform. Doesn't sound like an ET or alien to me. Number 5, Laxon stated that he would recognize the man if he saw him in Oklahoma City tomorrow. That's how close he was to this gentleman. Now, Houston Post, April 10th, 1966. Laxon, who is familiar with aircraft, said he had no thoughts about the craft being from outer space or even from another country. Quote, it's an American piece of machinery, he said. It's nothing foreign. So according to this reliable witness with a military, with a pilot background, he thought it was one of ours. Object sighting now rude. That's him up on the right-hand corner. The Daily Oklahoman, March 1st, 1971. We're going to look really quickly here at what he had to say. Quote, what I saw was definitely not from space. The man was wearing fatigues and had a cap with the bill broken up like Air Force mechanics wear, Laxon said. It had common English letters on it. So again, another piece of evidence looking like one of our technologies here. Now, I put this in here because I think it's important. We should all consider very carefully the tremendous implications of what that statement means from Eddie Laxson, what he's telling us. The implications are absolutely staggering, because if Eddie Laxson is reliable, if he's truthful about the sighting, then again, what was all this about then? If we already had the technology to travel into space without using liquid rockets as early as March of 1966, then what was the Saturn V rocket for? What was this entire Apollo program for if covertly we have a secondary space program that has essentially no moving parts? There's no jet engines, there's no rocket engines.